Mohawk Valley Phenomenon here. How's everybody doing tonight? Tonight we have an encounter, actually two encounters, emailed into me from this person. His name's Chris, and from what I understand, he's from Oklahoma. And there are a couple pretty interesting encounters. One is a UFO encounter, and the other one is what he believes to be a giant canine he had seen. So, without further ado, I'll get right into the email that he sent and go over a few things. Okay, this is from Chris. I have seen several UFOs here in rural Oklahoma. The one that sticks in my mind is a large blue UFO I witnessed in 2014. It was about an hour after dark, and a blue object was flying from the north to the south at a slow pace. I have no idea how fast it was going or how high it was in the sky. I thought at first it was a plane, but I never heard the engine. I thought it was a plane leaving the Fort Smith airport on the way to Dallas, but the light stopped still in the sky and broke into 4 pieces, each heading in due directions. I don't recall feeling any emotions, just a thought to myself, did I just see that? So that was a pretty interesting UFO experience there. I've seen a few myself. I have some on film. I have to show you guys at some point. But the one thing that really brought my attention to this is that I've heard of parasites coming off UFOs and falling to the ground and things like that, or maybe 1 or 2 flying around another UFO. This is the first time I've heard of a UFO encounter where the parasite vehicles, when they break off, it flew in 4 different directions. And I guess I should follow up, Chris, if you're going to see this. Did the whole ship break up into 4 pieces and go into 4 different directions, or was the ship still there and it released 4 objects that went into 4 different directions? And you said due directions, so when I spoke to you, I assume that's north, south, east, and west. It's pretty interesting. I've never heard of a UFO doing that. And a little bit more information. Fort Smith is in Arkansas, and since 1953, it was the home of the National Guard 188th Air Wing. Some of the planes that were common there were the F-4 Phantom, I assume in Vietnam, the F-16 Fighting Falcon, and the A-10 Thunderbolt or Warthog. That doesn't sound like any of those planes that could possibly cause that. So it sounds like a very true encounter with a UFO. It's pretty interesting. We'll get into his next story here on his cryptid encounter here. Chris says, my cryptid encounter happened late Saturday to early Sunday in 2016, the weekend before Thanksgiving of that year. The local convenience stores open early during deer season, so I wanted to make a beer run before the people that go to church see me buying beer on a Sunday. About 1.5 miles from my house, in my headlights, I seen the biggest canine I had ever seen. It was jet black, about 3.5 feet tall at the shoulders, and at least 6 feet long. And the tail was plumed out like a wolf, but its tail was curled up above its back like a proud coon dog. The tail, I am guessing, was at least 5 foot long, but I don't know for certain. I know that it wasn't a bear or a panther. It moved like a big canine. It had fur, but it wasn't shaggy. I wasn't scared because the creature was moving with a purpose and didn't even look at me. It made my beer run. Excuse me. I made my beer run and came back home. On the way back home, I seen that the cattle in the pasture that the creature came through, they were all bunched up, as cattle do when they get scared. At noon of the same day, I went back to the scene of the encounter to look for footprints, but I didn't find any. Those are my 2 encounters. And he says you have my permission to use them and his name. Thank you very much, Chris, for writing that in. It's important that we share as much as we can with people. You know, we can start putting pieces to our own puzzles together. And it's quite interesting that you said you went back and looked for footprints, because I did the same thing with the black entity that Jessica and Madison had seen down there in Sprakers. And I actually, one time there was snow on the ground. The only thing I could find were a few deer tracks there. I never found anything compelling as far as tracks. And it just seems crazy to me that you can actually witness something like that and it doesn't leave any footprints behind. In your case, I'm sure, you know, it sounded like it was a much more physical thing, as I guess Jessica's and Madison's was also. But as far as theirs was concerned, it was just pitch black. There was no fur, there was no clothing, just like a pitch black image. But it's interesting that you did put in there that you didn't find any footprints, because I found that to be the same also. Actually, with the Sasquatch encounter too, I did go look there, and there wasn't any snow at the time. It was just some tall grass, so you just don't know if there was anything there that could leave a footprint. I didn't find it, but very interesting stories. Like I said, it's important for all of us to get out there and do our part, at least speak about this. I believe the percentage, I think it's almost up to 60% of people that believe in UFOs and weird things like that. I think the percentage is higher of the people that have actually seen stuff, and either it's so mundane or it scares them so much that they don't ever want to speak about it again. And that's why this whole phenomenon is suppressed. It's always been suppressed. What's the purpose of that? Why? That's the questions that I have. So to continue, thanks again, Chris. And if anyone out there has any encounters they would like to share on the channel, it'd be great. You can see I started taking some stuff down. I'm setting the house up so I can do my videos in there. So the next time you see me, I'll be in the house. It'll sound a lot better. You won't see bugs flying around out here in the garage anymore. It'll be a better area for us to do these videos. Also, this coming Wednesday, I want to go over with Jessica and hopefully Madison, if she's available, on their Sasquatch encounter they had right out here within a half mile from the house here. And hopefully Madison's available for that. I have to see if you know, I can fit that in her schedule somewhere along the way, along with my work schedule. I actually worked today too, so before we started getting quite a bit of rain. And I just want to thank all my subscribers out there. It's an interesting subject to try to find answers for. So until this Wednesday, we'll try to get that done with that encounter with the Sasquatch down there. And there's some interesting additional information that came along with that we had found out not too long after that, maybe 2-3 weeks after that. We found out some interesting stuff. Very similar account happened not too far from here. So I want to thank you guys, and if you have any experiences you'd like to share, Mohawk Valley Phenomenon at yahoo.com, and we'll see you then. Thank you guys.